Welcome back, children. See, coming to today's class on moving charges and magnetism, we'll be discussing about a force experienced by a current carrying conductor when placed in an external magnetic field. See, if you remember, we have studied that when you keep a charge Q or project a charge Q in a magnetic field with a speed V, what is the force experienced by the charged particle in the presence of a magnetic field? We know F is equal to Q into V cross B. Okay, this was called as the magnetic Lorentz force, which we have discussed in the previous classes. But in today's class, we will be discussing about what would happen when you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. Okay, so let us suppose there is a magnetic field, a uniform magnetic field directed into the plane of the board. The magnitude of this field, I'll take it as capital B. Okay, magnetic field is B is directed into the plane of the board. Now, in this, I will keep a current carrying conductor. Okay, so assume that this is a current carrying conductor with area of cross section capital A, length equal to L, and let the current passing through this be represented as I. Now, since a current carrying conductor consists of a number of mobile charge carriers, that is the free electrons, which are moving with a drift speed, and as each charge will experience a force, so all the mobile charge carriers which are moving with a drift speed will also experience a magnetic force. And if I take the number density as n, okay, we know number density is number of charge carriers per unit volume. Divided by volume. Let us first find out what is the total number of charged particles, mobile charge carriers present in this conductor. Okay, the number of charge carriers. Okay, your CC is charge carriers would be n into volume. So what is the volume of this conductor? A into L. Call this as equation. Okay, this I will call it as equation 1, and let us call this as equation 2. Now I will find the total charge present in my conductor. So the total charge would be number density into charge of each electron, that is mobile charge carrier. I will take it as small e. So that would be NaL into E. Now if I use this formula, that is F equal to Q into V cross B, we know the speed of these electrons is drift speed. What would be the force acting on all these charge carriers equal to? The total force must be equal to, replace the total charge as NaL into E into speed is drift speed cross magnetic field. Now I will write the magnetic force as, see, we know NEA into VD. Okay, what is the product of NEA into VD? If you remember, what is the relation between current and drift velocity? Hope you remember I is equal to NEA into VD. So NAE into VD, if I replace it as current I, then what will happen to this relation? I'll write this L, okay, NEA into VD as current I into, I'm taking this length inside, cross B. Because current is a scalar quantity, you can't write it as the vector product. So I am making this L into a vector. Since current is scalar, the direction of this L conductor will be same as the direction of the current. That means we are borrowing the direction from current and making L into a vector quantity. So this formula, that is F is equal to I into L cross B, is going to give you the force acting on a current carrying conductor whose length is L when placed in a magnetic field. If it is a perpendicular magnetic field, then angle between L and B becomes 90 degree. Otherwise, whatever is the angle given, you can substitute its value. So remember this general relation. For a charged particle it is Q into V cross B, magnetic force, whereas the magnetic force acting on a current carrying conductor would be I into L cross B. Okay, if I take the angle between L and B, that means expand this vector, you can also write it as magnitude of the force as BIL into sine theta, where theta is angle between the L vector and B vector. Now when you are looking at this relation, remember that the force experienced by the current carrying conductor is because of the external magnetic field, not its own magnetic field. So we know every current carrying conductor has a magnetic field around it. The force what we are writing here is only the force due to an external magnetic field. And second point to remember is, if your conductor is straight, then we will write it as I into L cross B. But if it is not straight conductor, then take a small element of it. For that element, if you calculate the magnetic force, it will be I into dl cross B. If it is a straight conductor, we write the complete length. If it is a curved conductor, then take a small element of its length, calculate the force on that particular element as I into dl cross B. So this is how you can find out the magnitude of the force acting on a current carrying conductor when you place it in an external magnetic field. But now coming to evaluating its direction. If you remember, what was the rule we have used for finding out the magnetic force? Fleming's left hand rule. So during the definition of this Fleming's left hand rule, if you remember, I told you, if you stretch the three fingers of your left hand in mutually perpendicular directions, then forefinger indicates magnetic field, then middle finger, it indicates velocity or current. Okay, so this is the current carrying conductor. For current carrying conductors, middle finger will represent the current. If it is a charged particle, then the drift velocity will be the direction of the middle finger. Then thumb gives you the direction of the force. Okay, so this is nothing but your Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, let us apply the rule for this example. Field is represented by forefinger, which is directed inward. Current is indicated by middle finger. Then thumb is pointing out upward. So this conductor is going to experience a force in upward direction. So again I repeat, what is the formula for force acting on a current carrying conductor when you place it in a magnetic field? It is I into L cross B or I into dl cross B. Magnitude is given by this formula. Direction either by Fleming's left hand rule or from cross product. We know the direction of this force should always be perpendicular to the field containing or the plane containing L and B. Again I repeat, direction is either by Fleming's left hand rule or from cross product. The force will always be directed perpendicular to L and perpendicular to B, or perpendicular to the plane containing L and B. This is how you can identify the magnetic force. Let us look into one application related to the magnetic force acting on a closed loop. So here in this example, okay, we are given a triangular loop. Okay, ABC is a closed triangle carrying a current I. It is placed in a magnetic field of 1 Tesla and the length of the conductors are already indicated at the figure. So for this question, they are asking you to determine what is the magnetic force acting on AB, BC, CA, and also find the net force acting on this closed current carrying a loop. So let us go one by one. First I will calculate what is the force acting on AB. So this is your conductor AB. Okay, we know magnetic force is I into L cross B. This is a general formula. So first we will calculate what is the force acting on the conductor AB. Okay, we know AB is directed in y cap direction and magnetic field is directed into the plane of the paper. Since L and B are perpendicular to each other, because L is on the plane of the board, B is into the plane of the board, what is the angle between L and B? 90 degree. We know the current. So I will write it as I into length of AB, magnetic field, into sine 90. Substitute the values. Current anyway I gave it as unity. Field is also 1 unit. Length of AB is 4 meter. So the force would become 4 Newton. BIL into sine 90. Similarly, what is the force acting on AC, BC? This is your conductor BC. Again, it is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Length of the conductor, conductor is on the plane of the board, field is perpendicular. So I into length of BC, magnetic field, again sine 90. Answer comes out to be 5 Newton. C bit. I am calculating the magnitudes. Directions will indicate in the diagram. Then force on CA. Okay, CA is I into length of CA into B into again sine 90. 1 into 3 into 1, that is 3 Newton. Now let us calculate its directions by using the Fleming's left hand rule. First start with AB. Field is inward. Magnetic field is directed into the plane of the paper. Forefinger is indicating it. Current is in upward direction. Thumb gives the direction of magnetic force. So the thumb is pointing outward. This is force acting on A. Come to BC. Field is inward. Current is along the middle finger. Then thumb is pointing out perpendicular to L in outward direction. This is force acting on BC. Come to this conductor AC. Field is inward. Current is towards left. Thumb is pointing out downward. So this is the force acting on AC. We know their magnitudes. Force on AB is 4 Newton. This is 5 Newton. And downward we have 3 Newton. There is one more bit. What is the net force acting on the closed loop? So let's calculate the net force. Observe all the 3 forces. This is directed towards minus J cap. This is a 4 Newton. Down we have 3 Newton. Perpendicular to the conductor. This is 5 Newton. Okay, so these are the 3 forces acting on this closed loop. Observe these 3 values, 3 and 4. Resultant of 3 and 4 will be 5 Newton. The third force is also 5 Newton but acting in opposite direction. See, are they forming or obeying the Lami's theorem? So according to the Lami's theorem, this point is in equilibrium. Since this point is in equilibrium, what is the net force acting on the closed current carrying loop? It should become equal to 0. So the net force acting on a current carrying loop. So what is the inference that we have understood from this example? So whenever you have a closed current carrying loop placed in a magnetic field, the net force acting on the closed loop will always be equal to 0. Again, I am repeating the conclusion. Remember this, it helps you to solve the next level questions. When you have a closed loop, the net force acting on the current carrying conductor would become 0 because of the magnetic field. Now using this example, let us consider a few more numericals and then we will solve them. Let us look into one more question. Okay, so that is to evaluate the magnetic force acting on a semicircular loop of wire placed in a perpendicular magnetic field carrying a current small I, and the radius of the semicircle is given as equal to capital R. So whenever you have to solve this type of questions, that means when your conductor is not a straight conductor having different shapes and sizes, then look at the shortcut method to solve this type of questions. See, first what we do is, we assume that this is a closed loop, but we know it's not closed. It is starting from A ending at B. So I will convert it into a closed loop by imagining one more metal wire directed from B to A. Okay, and indicate this with a line. Assume that if it is a closed loop, the same current would pass through it. So if I call this point as, say, C. Now it is no more an open loop, it's a closed loop. What should be the net force acting on a closed loop of wire carrying current when placed in a magnetic field? We know that the net force must be equal to 0. Okay, just now I told you in the previous example. Since the net force is 0, I will write this force into two parts. Force on this semicircular part, force acting on ACB, plus force acting on B to A. Sum of these two forces must be equal to 0. We need to evaluate what is the force acting on this semicircular loop of wire. So what should be FACB equal to? Is it minus of force acting on BA? Evaluate what is the force acting on this conductor B to A. It is a straight current carrying conductor whose length is 2r. Current is I, kept in a magnetic field capital B. So identify the force minus of, I'll identify the direction later. First I'll write the magnitude, B into I into L. Magnetic field is B. It is carrying a current I. Length of this conductor is 2r. And angle between L and B is 90. Sin 90. Anyway, it is equal to 1. Now I have to write its direction. Use your Fleming's left hand rule for identifying the direction. Field is inward. Current is towards left. Thumb is pointing out downward. This is the direction of force acting on BA. If I take the downward direction as minus J cap, okay, assuming this to be x-axis and y-axis, okay, I'll project the axis. This I'm taking it as x and this is y. What is the direction of this force? Is it plus J or minus J? It is in minus J cap direction. Or force acting on this curved part or the curved portion should be minus into minus will anyway become plus. That is BI into 2R and direction is J cap, sin 90 is anyway equal to 1. So this is how we can find out the force acting on the curved part or a semicircular loop of wire by evaluating the force acting on AB. Again I repeat, whenever you are asked to find out the force acting on irregular shapes, close it. The net force acting on this closed loop should be 0. Force on the curved part plus the straight conductor should be 0. So what is the force acting on this curved part of the conductor equal to? Is it minus of force acting on B to A? That's nothing but BI into 2R into J. So this logic helps you in solving so many questions related to magnetic. Okay, now making use of the previous question. So whenever you get questions on force acting on a current carrying conductor, whatever be the shape and size of the conductor. Okay, so say for example, I am giving some irregular current carrying loop, a wire. Let it carry a current I from P to Q. Say it is placed in a perpendicular magnetic field. If it is not perpendicular, then take the angle, whatever is angle between PQ and B. Then if you have to evaluate the force acting on it, just do one thing. Close the conductor from P to Q. Close it with a straight line joining from P to Q. Again I am repeating, whatever be the shape and size of the conductor or loop, conducting loop what they have given you, join the free ends starting from P towards Q or A and B, whatever is given. Calculate the force acting on PQ. The force experienced by this irregular shaped wire will always be equal to the force acting on PQ. Again I am repeating, say you are given a loop like this. Find the force acting on A, B, C and D placed in a magnetic field. What are the steps you are supposed to follow? Just draw a straight line from starting to ending point, A to D. Okay, I'll indicate with a different color. Close it. Let the current be same, I. Whatever is the force on AD, the same will be the force acting on this closed loop. That means remaining part of this closed loop. Whatever may be the shape. Okay, so some irregular shape is given. What are you supposed to do? If this is the direction of current, starting to ending point, draw one straight line. Let it be I. Evaluate its length. If you know this closed length of the closing side, find out the force on the closing side, and you will be able to find out the force acting on that irregular shape. So this logic, if you remember, while solving objective questions, it becomes easy to solve these questions. So this is all about the magnetic force acting on a current carrying conductor when it is placed in an external magnetic field.